Welcome friends to another Dune video. One of the cornerstones of Dune of the first few novels is the unleashing of the Fremen on the Imperium under Paul Mua'dib, the Lissan Al Gaib, the Mahdi, and the horrors they reap on the known universe. We can quote stats and figures of how many die, which we will do at the start for the uninitiated, and then I will look at the man himself, the myth of him, and Paul Atreides within that. What did he think during the Jihad? Why was he allowing these things to happen, destroying his family's legacy? Spoilers through till Winds of Dune and including that book. Let's get straight into it. To start, here is a quote from Leto II, Paul's son, about the legacy of the Jihad from the Dune Encyclopedia. Statistics. At a conservative estimate, I've killed 61 billion, sterilised 90 planets, completely demoralised 500 others. I've wiped out the followers of 40 religions. So Paul overthrows House Carino and the Landsraad, who have long been a balancing tension for the ruling family, and they take that moment, the Landsraad do, to declare their independence within the Imperium. Normally, any punishment such a family would receive from the Crinos would be a warning to the rest of the Landsraad. They don't quite realise at this stage what has been unleashed by Paul within the Fremen. What this looks like to them was the great houses defying the will of their long prophesied Mahdi, their Messiah, and in addition, the Fremen want revenge against the Imperium, who have repressed them for so long. For some factions within the Fremen, it was a way for them to spread their religion, to forcefully convert people to their ways. Now we have taken the big view of the Jihad. Let's put Paul into this. In Paul of Dune, we see him go with some of his Fremen anonymously to see the Jihad he has unleashed, to witness it as more than reports or prescient visions. Here's a quote from the book. Having spent hours in the fight, his knife arm ached, and his ears rang from the explosions and screams. His nostrils burned from drinking in the nauseating cocktail of smells that hung in the air, the acrid discharges of slow explosives, spilled blood, burned flesh, churned dirt. Paul thinks only he can see what awaits humanity if the Jihad fails. He saw hazards in every direction, death and pain on every side. He wants to steer humanity towards a safe harbour, using his prescience as a guide to the people on the planet. The battle was not a fight, but a slaughter of helpless people on what had been a peaceful planet. Paul was disguised and had told no one but Chani of his intent to be there. The people on this planet had become so desperate, they had shot lasguns at the shielded Fremen. The resulting explosion had killed thousands of soldiers on both sides. So the Fremen had stopped using shields, turning instead to crisp knives and fighting from close range. Paul became lost in the fighting. Those with him thought he was a fanatical follower of Mua'dib. Later, Paul thinks over his rule, how he could have given a moment of great prosperity to the Imperium, and that would have lasted for a few millennia, then failed. But instead, he followed his prescient vision. He became what he saw himself needing to be. As Mua'dib, he had taken the guilt upon himself by allowing the sacrifice of billions in order to save trillions, and only he fully understood it. He could not place the blame for this on anyone else, and so he accepted this burden and steeled himself to continue doing what needed to be done. As the Jihad continues, Jessica, Paul's mother, wonders about her son's mind, seeing the planetary sterilizations he has been ordering. Has he become an abomination? That is the name for someone who cannot control the memories of their ancestors that have been awakened in them. Had one of them taken over Paul? And, by the desperate Bene Gesserit, Jessica is offered a role to be the Mother Superior for the entire Bene Gesserit order. The price for this? Killing her son. And Jessica, seeing how brutal he has become, considers this. Later, Paul sees Jessica, surprising her at a secret meeting. Paul wants to explain the role of the Jihad to his mother. He says he had to sterilize the worlds. He has to teach his followers the tyranny that happens when you follow a Messiah and the hopes that their coming has brought you. Paul plans to teach humanity to never put their singular hopes in one person again. He says more worlds will be ended as part of this message, but he's secretly helping people to leave the planets to limit the death it causes, and his friend Bronzo is writing about Paul's failings and circulating what he writes to help with that, to tear down the image that has been built up about Paul. Jessica sees some of her son in this man, and so does not carry out what the Bene Gesserit asked of her. So through this, I think we see what Paul was trying to do. His goal is similar to Leto, his son's golden path, where Leto would make humanity live lives so hard, the lesson of following a single tyrant would be felt in their bones. But with Paul, he seems trapped within his prescience, and just following that locks him to his own future visions only, shaping his actions, with it not necessarily leading to the outcome he wants. He uses it too much. Leto learns from this and does not use it as much as a crutch as Paul does. Now, friends, I turn this over to you. What do you see in the Jihad? Where is it going to go? Does the above fit with what Paul later says as the preacher? Are you guided solely by your prescient visions? Comment down below.